Yeah, thank you guys so much for waking up with us early on AMHQ Early. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele.
And I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno. It is Thursday, so that makes it Friday Eve. Now let's get you ready for the day and the weekend. And here's a check on your top story. Oh, it's going to be sticking. This is the forecast for snowfall. Now, the models have been different. There's not been a lot of consistency in the models about what's happening in Iowa or Wisconsin or Illinois. They're not agreeing, but they have been agreeing across lower Michigan. And so that's where we've got more than a foot, maybe even a foot and a half of snowfall. You're shoveling, you're making snowmen. If you haven't taken your Christmas card picture yet, you are doing that this weekend because you will have some new snowfall. The system that we're talking about comes out of the southwest. It's a weather maker there in parts of Colorado and New Mexico to start. Then it comes out to the plains. And then we see this low track up into the lakes. How strong is the low? How vigorous is it? How much rising air is it causing? That's one thing that we need to know. And we also need to know just how much moisture is going to make it all the way up here. And will there be enough for some bigger snowfall across portions of Nebraska into southern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois? That's all part of the forecast challenge still with us. And that exact rain snow line, I mean, take a place like Kansas City. You're going to be in a cold rain for a lot of this, but you do finish with a little bit of snowfall. This is 4 a.m. on Saturday, so if you want to see it, set your alarm because you'll see that it doesn't last very long. It's out of here before you wake up. Chicago, you're going to do the same thing, but instead we'll do it late on Saturday where it's mainly rain, and then we change over to a little bit of snowfall. Not the spot that's going to get a lot of it, Jordan, really the snowfall falling just north of Chicago and up into Wisconsin and then northern parts of lower Michigan. It's a thin line between rain and a little bit of snow. Milwaukee, you are on it. There's a chance of snow next week. Here's the thing you got to know about southern snow. It is hard to get here, and everything really has to come together. And if you see snow 5 days or 6 days out in the forecast, you got to wait. You got to wait on that one. So here's how the pattern is shaping up for next week. We do have an upper level low, and as it scoots through the south, it has cold air with it, but not cold enough air coming with it. And when we went to bed on Tuesday night, us as meteorologists, this is what we saw in the models. Wow, look at this snow from the Appalachians to the south, right? Well, this was Tuesday night. When we woke up Wednesday morning, this is what we had to go on to talk about, and we were chatting about it, right? You heard Steph and I and Jordan yesterday, but that was just one model, and the GFS model really had nothing. So we had no confidence at all in this forecast, and we have no confidence at all in any snowfall coming, or we have confidence that snowfall is not coming, I should say, in the forecast when you look at where we are right now. This is the latest run coming in now from the European model. Hardly anything with snowfall. It's got to go up to elevation to see anything. The GFS looks very similar. So let's talk about the forecast. There may be some snowflakes, some wet flakes mixing in with the rainfall across parts of Tennessee. Certainly when you go up in the elevations of the Appalachians from West Virginia down into North Carolina, we'll have that snow chance Sunday into Monday. But here's our surface low. And, you know, we don't have a strong low. We don't have a ton of cold air. The models are similar in that way and what they do with this. In fact, you look at our forecast, we, don't have a ton of snow chances coming our way. It's much more rain as you look ahead through the southeast getting into your Monday evening. It'll be a chillier rain for sure. But Steph, as we take a look at what's coming our way, the southern plains is where we have a better chance of snow.
We do have a better chance of snow in places like Oklahoma City, but it's odd because you're like, wait, it's been so warm. It's so warm today.
Little midweek snow coating parts of the Northeast. You saw the flakes flying out there. You see that behind me here. Not necessarily big snow in the Big Apple, but enough to slow down drivers as fat flakes fell on streets and avenues. And look, maybe making you blink a little bit if you're walking down the street. Now, snow also coating parts of upstate New York and Pennsylvania as yards, trees, fields, and even barns seeing some light accumulation. This is where we got enough to make a snowball. Enough that it looks a lot like the holidays, right? By the way, the state of Pennsylvania's favorite Christmas treat is a gingerbread cheesecake. Now, that's a discussion for another time, and trust me, we'll talk about this list of favorite treats. But first, let's look at some of the snow totals in the Northeast. We're going to put them on the floor for you so you can see who got some of the biggest numbers. You had to go closer to the lakes to do that. And across western New York, Redfield coming in with 6 inches of snow, a half foot of snow. Springville, Pennsylvania, we came in with 4.5. Scranton, Pennsylvania, you ended up with 3.3 inches of snowfall. And we go to Knowlton Township in New Jersey, northern Jersey here, coming in with just 2 inches of snowfall. All right, so let's go to Minnesota, where they're all cracked up. On the ice anyway. This ice is cracked up. Not talking about you Minnesotans, but the ice certainly is, and it's piled up on the shoreline of Leech Lake. The chunks actually forming shards as an ice wall melted and creating some cracking sounds, according to the person who posted this video on social media. I can hear it. You hear that?
I'm trying to listen.
It's the wind, too, I think.
Yeah, the wind gets you.
Yeah.
But, Jen, this is kind of early to see ice shoves. I mean, obviously because the cold, the warm, the cold, the warm.
Yeah. It hasn't been that cold, though, really.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just associate ice shoves with the...
It's a beautiful day in Oklahoma where people had better enjoy it while they can. We've got a live look at Oklahoma City, where today we're going to be above 70 degrees. Would you believe that on a day like this, a beautiful sunrise to start? Yes, it's in the 30s, but we're going to 70, and we've got snow in the forecast. Yes, Oklahoma City, we do. Things are going to change by the end of the weekend. So let's get to it right here and talk about your forecast. We see things changing on Sunday as we see that chance of wintry precip coming on in. It starts as rain, but then temperatures dropping down. It's close. It's not like super, super freezing, but it is going to be in the low 30s. So we've got that chance of snow and upper level low going over top of us, and you know how that goes here. They definitely can be a little finicky, if you will, and brings us that chance of snowfall. A little better chance, perhaps, maybe a little farther west. We're going to watch western Kansas. We're going to keep an eye on the Texas Panhandle. We've got some snow chances coming away as the system just swings on through. So both models show some snow chances here across Oklahoma getting into the weekend. And there's pretty high confidence in this that we'll at the very least see snow. How much is going to stick on the ground? Well, that's a little tougher to do. You know, you saw the 70 degrees that we're going to see today. The ground will be warm, but if it comes down heavy enough, it'll stick. So there's that, and we get this into Sunday morning, starting here just as day breaks, and you guys are getting ready to perhaps head out, maybe run a couple of errands on Sunday. We've got that snow mixing in with rain, and by the end of the day, that's what you'll see here about 1 o'clock or so in Oklahoma City, and then it's out. By 6 o'clock, it's completely out of the area. So this really is a Sunday event for you across the Southern Plains. For Tulsa, by 5 a.m., it's probably raining, but then we start mixing in with some snowflakes. Do we get enough to stick? It's really going to have to fall pretty heavy for that to happen. It's because it's going to be so warm in the next couple of days leading up to this. And then, of course, because it's not going to be super, super cold when that snow is falling. But you've got a chance anyway. In Joplin, Missouri, we've got a chance coming in throughout the morning hours here, early afternoon on Sunday. Then what happens when this system goes into the southeast? Long we've been looking at ways to green your holiday and stay eco-friendly into 2021. Now, we all love fast and free shipping this time of year, but there is a hidden cost you might not know about. Speedy deliveries can hurt the environment, but there are some simple fixes. Have changed when we look at the model forecasts, what we saw yesterday afternoon, what we see this morning. So let's just talk about what happened. What were meteorologists thinking about? So we watch in the pattern coming over the weekend. By early next week, another system. This one comes in from the northwest as it dives down into the Central Plains. Yes, we have some snow chances there. It comes into the southeast, and one of the models in particular were really blowing it up with a big old snowstorm in the south. Yes, but that was Tuesday night. So lesson number one is when you see snow in the forecast this many days out, almost a full week, you can't believe it. You got to definitely look at it with a, fine-tooth comb. But anyway, Tuesday night, this is what the European model had across the south. Lots of purple, lots of snow chances all across the area. But the same model run from the GFS had like nothing, just a little bit of high elevation snow. Fast forward to the next model run, came in with pretty much nothing from the European, just the high elevation snow. And the GFS, of course, continuing to follow suit as well. So when you look at the forecast now, of course, you're going to see a little bit of snow chances coming in, but no big blockbuster, no big, snow that you're going to go sledding in. And temperatures, while they'll be cold enough to get maybe some flakes mixing in with the rain, I don't think the ground will be warm enough to really keep that snow on the ground. And temperatures, will give us that mainly chilly rain for most of the southeast, unless you're up at elevation, through the end of the weekend into early next week. Now, there is one spot, Steph, though, that has a better chance of getting some snow.
Yeah, there are a couple spots, right? And first, we're going to show you in the plains, places like Oklahoma City, starting with our highs.
Midweek snow coating parts of the Northeast. Now, not necessarily big snow in the Big Apple, but you can see we've got some flakes back here, enough to maybe slow down drivers as the fat, wet flakes fell on streets and avenues. And snow also coating parts of upstate New York and Pennsylvania as yards, trees, fields, even barns seeing some light snow accumulation all across the area here. Enough to make it look a lot like the holidays, right? Now, by the way, the state of Pennsylvania, your favorite Christmas treat, according to one survey, is gingerbread cheesecake. All right, that sounds good, but we got to talk about Jolly Ranchers, and which state picked that actually as their top treat. That's another time. Right now, let's look at some of the snowfall totals that we have for you here across the Northeast. We're going to take it out to the maps on the floor and show you some of the big winners with snowfall from yesterday. You had to go closer to the lake to get some of that enhanced moisture. Redfield, New York, you came in with 6 inches of snow, so a half foot out there. Springville, Pennsylvania, 4.5 inches. Scranton, Pennsylvania, 3.3. And Knowlton Township in New Jersey, northern Jersey, they're coming in with 2 inches of snowfall. All right, so one other thing we want to talk about, Minnesota. They're all cracked up. Well, the ice anyway. You know, Minnesotans, we're not talking about you, but look at these scenes right here. This is on the shoreline of Leech Lake, and the chunks actually forming shards as ice melted and also creating some cracking sounds, according to the person who posted this video on social media. And Steph, I think you're spot on. This is like an end of the season scene, not a beginning of the season.
No, I mean, because usually it gets cold and then stays cold, but with this fluctuation in the temperature.
In Oklahoma City, but maybe coming in Oklahoma for now. We've got a gorgeous day and enjoy it. This is one of those days where, like, look, it's December. You're going to have a day like this. You start in the 30s, but there's not a cloud in sight. We're going to finish in the 70s. You take advantage of a day like this. Don't let it slip you by, because let me show you what's coming. By the end of the weekend, we're going to change the weather pattern. We're going to bring in some colder air, and we even have some snowflakes in the forecast. This comes in on Sunday morning here in Oklahoma City, starting as rain, and then we mix in with some snow by later in the morning. Now, you notice the temperatures do get cold enough to get us some snowfall, but it's not super, super cold. And, you know, we don't, I think, see a ton of accumulation out of this, because the ground is going to be warm. Yes, we're going to be in the 70s today, but we've got a 3 to 5 inch snowfall potential here for you across portions of Oklahoma. Both models have been showing us that chance, and they've been consistent in that. So there's decent confidence in it. And, you know, the timing is getting closer. We're looking at the Sunday morning time frame for that. So stepping you through how this is going to play out, we start on Sunday morning. This is early. This is 4 a.m. The snow is spreading out here with this next system coming in, dropping from Colorado and Kansas southbound, coming into Oklahoma. So you might start as a mix in Oklahoma City of rain and snow, and then changing over to snow, and then maybe even changing back over to rain when it all finishes. It's pretty quick. It's just about a half day's worth of precip, wintry precip that we're going to get. But if the snow falls at a heavy enough clip, you will get some accumulation, especially on the grass. So you might be able to go out there and take that holiday picture if you haven't gotten your Christmas card done yet. We are looking at that chance of snow in Tulsa coming in about 9, 10 o'clock or so. You notice the temperatures, we're going to be in the mid to upper 30s, so 36, 37. So it's not super cold. It's probably going to be pretty sloppy kind of snow, the kind of snow that if you are walking outside, you might even think about an umbrella. I know people do with a wet snow like this. Joplin, Missouri for us, temperatures are going to be 35, 36, 37. Snowfall 9 to about 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. Steph.
No, let's talk about
this southern snow forecast that had meteorologists all abuzz over the past couple of days, but no longer. So let's tell you why that is. So here's the system and the pattern that we're looking at into next week. We've got another storm system dropping in. This one comes down from the northwest. So we see that over the weekend, end of the weekend, it slides through the southern plains. Early next week, it slides into the southeast. And so this was the culprit that the European model was saying, oh, wow, this is going to be a big deal kind of snow. This was the European model run from Tuesday night. So yesterday morning, this is what all the meteorologists here behind the scenes anyway, and a little bit on air, we're talking about, like snow falling from Tennessee down into Alabama, bigger snow up for the Appalachians. But the same time, model run from the GFS had pretty much nothing, just a little bit of high elevation snow, not much, something you might expect. And then fast forward to the next model run coming out of the Euro, and it had nada, just the typical high elevation stuff for us here, and the European following suit as it has been as well. So lesson learned, don't get too excited. It's almost a week out kind of forecast. Plus it's really hard to get snow in the south. And we look at this forecast for Monday. We do have this upper level low scooting on through. There are some snow chances, but you know, with the kind of weather we're going to have in the coming days, the ground is going to be really warm. It is going to be hard to stick unless you have some elevation and some really cold air. Both models showing mainly a cold rain event, some higher elevation snow up into maybe North Carolina, and maybe a few flakes mixing into places like Nashville. Don't get too excited over this. This is not going to be your snowman making snow.
But we have places where you can get excited over the snow, and that's into the southern plains and also into
How about a little midweek snow coating parts of the Northeast? Not necessarily big snow in the Big Apple, but enough to slow down drivers as fat, wet flakes fell on streets and avenues, but snow coating parts of upstate New York and Pennsylvania. This is where we saw yards and trees and fields and even barns with some light snow accumulation all across the area, enough to make it look like the holidays, right? Now, by the way, the state of Pennsylvania's favorite Christmas treat is gingerbread cheesecake. Look, you're going to hear us talk about this here for the next 2 weeks because there's some interesting choices. I just want to say Jolly Ranchers. Which state has chosen Jolly Ranchers as their top choice? But I digress. Let's look at the snowfall totals that we had in Pennsylvania, where you like this gingerbread cheesecake, which I've never had. We've got Redfield, New York, coming in with 6 inches, but in Springville, Pennsylvania, 4.5 inches of snowfall. Scranton, you picked up a respectable 3.3, and Knowlton Township in New Jersey, 2 inches of snow. Now to Minnesota, where we are all cracked up here with the ice. We're talking about the ice, don't worry. Minnesota, for us here, this is on the shoreline of Leech Lake. The chunks of ice actually forming shards as an ice wall melted. Also created some cracking sounds, according to the person who posted this video on social media. Yeah, Steph, I'm guessing that this ice wasn't very thick. It looks like it's just